Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
One day, a florist went to a barber for a haircut. After the haircut, he asked about his bill, and the barber replied, "I cannot accept money from you. I'm doing community service this week." The florist was pleased and left the shop. And when the barber went to open his shop the next morning, there was a thank you card and a dozen roses waiting for him at the door. Later, a cop comes in for a haircut, and when he tries to pay for his bill, the barber again replied, "I cannot accept money from you. I'm doing community service this week." The cop was happy and left the shop. The next morning, when the barber went to open up, there was a thank you card and a dozen donuts waiting for him at his door. Then a member of Congress came in for a haircut, and when he went to pay his bill, the barber again replied, "I cannot accept money from you. I'm doing community service this week." The member of Congress was very happy, and he left the shop. And the next morning, when the barber went to open up, there were a dozen other members of Congress lined up for a free haircut. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good morning, and also some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, locally owned and operated. Western Way Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. Well, here she is, straight from Gina's garage on a Monday morning. Good morning.
How did you know I was working on my car this weekend?
You told me.
Actually, I did work on the car, and we found this little place it's like a junkyard, and so we went and found some parts for the car, and so I'm going to be installing those today.
I have a feeling, honestly, and maybe you can tell me I'm all wet, whereas most women, when they pass a jewelry store, their eyes oogle out and they go, ooh, but when you pass a junkyard, your eyes oogle out.
You know what? I couldn't pass it up, and I love it. It's kind of like a treasure chest of parts. And it's kind of like going to a jewelry store. It really is.
Okay.
But for me, it's a little bit different. And so, yeah, I had a lot of fun.
I got a couple of stories I want to get into in a few minutes. Not the main thrust of what we want to do this morning, but I've got some that I want your response to, especially one that I think is going to warm your heart. So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Do we have a pledger?
We have Mr. Al on for the pledge and Michael Rogers on for the weather.
Well, I hope he's feeling better. Good morning, Al.
Good morning, Zeb. You ready?
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to tell you how much we miss you and Polly at Lunch Bunch.
I'll see, if I wasn't there to be picked on, they had to pick on poor old Jack.
Well, yeah, but in most cases, Jack deserves it.
Well, do I?
All the time.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks,
okay.
Al. Take care. Thank you so much.
Yeah, right.
We had an overflow of people at Lunch Bunch the other day. It was outstanding. Hey, right now it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. And they got a couple of design tips for you. Don't be afraid of tall tables. Use end tables at least 30 inches tall. The lamplight will will be better, and the proportion will be better, and bedside tables should be around 36 to 38 inches tall. There you go. Got it from Cheney Flooring and Home Design in Burley, where they can have everything for your home decor. Look for the blue door at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
15 above in Murtaugh. Good morning, everybody. Started from a brand spanking new week of you, me, and believe it or not, we're not done with winter weather. You've got a nice day for today. Weather story for this week is going to be cool, and then you got snow toward the end of the week. Right now, the bigger of the snow will take place on Friday. Look for a high today. You're going to be in the 40s all week long, except for when the snow comes. And when the snow hits, you'll be in the upper 30s for that one. That's going to be happening. Overnight lows are going to be in the 20s. So otherwise, enjoy this nice cool weather. Make sure you got a sweater and wear that for today and also for tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. But get ready for the white stuff as you work your way toward the weekend. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you very much, Michael. Whatever you need to make your house a home, they've got it at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Really, really nice folks. I want to say thanks to Paul Peterson. Paul, if you're listening this morning, that man has been gifted with cartoon abilities. And and Gina's seen the book, and I've seen some of his cartoons. Most of what he draws are, of course, things that are happening on this radio program and things I talk about. And he has a knack of capturing a lot of things that we do, and I appreciate him. Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate it. Once again, Lunch Bunch, a great success last week at Denny's Restaurant. Thank you so much. Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, 878-8900, number to call, Kevin and Cindy. They've got all the ability to clean all your rumply crumplies. Yes, I've got another bag full to get in there this week. Don't forget, they can take all your rumply crumplies and have them come out looking brand spanking new. They can. They're the best cleaners in the universe at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, and that's Darrow's Cleaners. You stop in and see them today. Also, real fast, too, first month free and free installation. What? Yes, SafeLink Internet. Idaho's #1 choice for wireless internet. We really, really appreciate these people at SafeLink. They do a wonderful job. Their service is absolutely first class. 677-8000. The number to call, get on the program, 677-8000. SafeLink Internet, serving you. Gina, a couple of news stories. I thought this one in particular you'd really appreciate. I know that you are not a rodeo buff, but I think you'll find out that this story will make you feel good.
Okay.
Yesterday, the semifinals for what they call the American. It's a huge, absolutely huge rodeo that had the semifinals for the qualifiers, ended in Fort Worth yesterday, and now next week the championships go to Cowboy Stadium, Dallas Cowboys Stadium in Irving, and a 9-year-old girl, 9-year-old girl, Cheney Chamberlain, had the fastest qualifying time in the semifinals, walked out of there with over $45,000 in her hand.
Really?
But listen to this. Now she is the #1 qualifier for next week to go to Cowboy Stadium and possibly win $1.1 million.
Get on with the bad self, little girl.
And, you know, it brings tears to my eyes, but, you know, they interviewed her, and she's a very articulate young lady. Now, your little boy is coming 8, right?
Yeah, he'll be 8 in less than a month.
All right, so basically, we're talking this little girl's just a year older than Kennedy.
Yeah.
And the interviewer walked over to her after she was holding this huge check for over $40,000 and said, now, Cheney, if you happen to win the American and you happen to be the main qualifier for the $1.1 million in total proceeds, what are you going to do with the money? And she did not hesitate. She said, give it to people that need it more than I do in charity.
Oh, my goodness. That is a sweet little girl.
She's the cutest little blonde girl. She's no bigger than a minute. I mean, she's just real tiny, and she rides a great big gray horse, and she had the fastest qualifying time of any professional that was entered there.
How does such a little girl stay on the horse?
I'm telling you,
do they have a special saddle for her?
Without sounding uncouth on this, I swear that she has Velcro on her butt, because she can ride, let me tell you.
Well, you know what? This is what you got to say. Kudos to her parents for she found something that she likes, and they're helping her along with that. And kudos to her own dedication and determination.
Absolutely.
You know, to become 9 years old and to possibly be number one in this specific field, where I know, no, I'm not a big rodeo buff, but I know that you know a lot about the industry, and I have always been into horses, but I never had the opportunity to actually advance my love for the sport. But for 9 years old, and to be at the level that she is right now, kudos to her and her support team.
I tell you what, it just, the money is growing in leaps and bounds in the rodeo business, and when you take a chance, last year, and listen to the guy's last name, last year, Richie Champion, that's his real last name, Champion, walked out of there with over $1 million for his bareback ride last year.
That's big money.
Yeah,
and for
me.
Just to say, you know what, I'm just going to give it to charity.
Yeah.
And her parents could say, well, we're going to put this away towards your college education, or we could do this or that or the other. And she's like, no, fine, I just want to give it to charity. That is a little girl with a heart of gold.
Yeah, she didn't even hesitate. Now, that being said, I've got another story I want to talk to you about in just a minute, but I got to do some commercials, okay?
Okay.
All right, stand by. I want to say thanks to our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Oh, don't be in the dark. Go to the light. Go to the light with the regular light bulbs, high and low wattage, 15 to 100, 150, 200, and bid them up now, 300. There you go. They got all the halogen bulbs and the CFLs. They got it all. And the fluorescent light. Oh, my, you will not spend any more time in the dark. No. At Ramsey Heating and Electric, they've got all the light. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers, open Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30, Ramsey Heating and Electric. Also, don't forget Valleywide Home and Ranch. Holy smokes, all kinds of things are going on over there. In just a couple of weeks, don't forget Chick Days are going to be happening over at Valleywide, March 11th through the 21st. Wrong chick. They'll have all the other chicks there. All the things you need, too. Feed, water dishes, all the housing, the fencing, anything. Chick Days are on the way, so don't forget it at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, and they've got a whole slug of 4-H clinics coming up soon, and just check with Mandy and the whole crew. Mandy and Sean will have all that information for you at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Really good people. Now, the next story I wanted to mention real quick to Gina, and she probably doesn't know this, but I wore my thumb out yesterday on the old clicker, changing channels, because I also wanted to watch, and I'm sure she probably did, the Daytona 500. Did you?
We watched it for like a nanosecond.
A nanosecond.
A nanosecond.
So you didn't see the end?
No. We watched... we were at a restaurant, and they had it on, and the race was just getting going, but then we went and picked parts.
I got to tell you something. Due to the fact that I know a little bit about stock car racing, it was, I think, the best and most exciting I've ever seen at the Daytona 500.
Okay, so do tell.
Oh, Joey Logano. You know who he is?
No, who does he race for?
Well, he races for the Penske team.
Okay.
And long story short, I knew the original Penske family from back in Wisconsin years and years ago. They were friends of my grandfather.
Okay.
And the Penske racing team hired this Joey Logano, and 24 years old, he's been racing with a couple of teams since he was 18. And you talk about I hate to use the terminology horse race, but they were coming down the stretch 3 cars abreast for the first last 9 or 10 rows. I'm telling you, this is at the end of the race. And then all of a sudden they had to pile up and they put it on caution, and then they had to restart, and it was you-know-what to the wall to finish that race. And Joey Logano, woo! I mean, just took off and went ahead. It was exciting. I really enjoyed that race yesterday.
Now, Daytona, that's kind of like the kickoff race to the entire NASCAR season,
It is.
correct?
It is, yeah.
And I was keeping actually track of what's going on with who's Kyle Busch.
Boy, the Busch family has had a lot of... Kurt, I think, is the one that got in trouble with a girlfriend.
Yes, and then indefinite suspension from NASCAR.
Yeah.
Indefinite suspension he's done until he can he's got some repair to do with his reputation.
Oh, big deal. Yes,
like this whole
big
run
deal.
thing. Mm-hmm.
Big deal. And Kurt Busch didn't qualify, Kyle, neither one of those. But, it was the last Daytona for Jeff Gordon.
Yes, and isn't Waltrip in this one?
Michael Waltrip was in it, but I think he went out in the earlier stages of the race, and Gordon got in a great big pile up, and he went out, and Dale Earnhardt, another favorite of the fans.
Mm-hmm. Didn't he place third?
He ended up third.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, it was just doggone fun to watch. It really was.
I really do. We were getting ready, because we were at this restaurant, and the race was starting, and so Kennedy's like, "Oh, Mom, check it out," because we had watched, I don't know if you've heard the movie Talladega Nights.
Yes.
Okay, so we watched that the night before, and so, NASCAR was still fresh in our minds, and so Kennedy was asking me if Ricky Bobby was running it. I'm like, no, hon. I'm like, Ricky Bobby is not going to be in this race. He's kind of a fictional character.
Yeah,
He's not really real. NASCAR is real. He's like, so why isn't Ricky Bobby in there? So I kind of had to explain that whole deal to him. But Kennedy really does like watching NASCAR.
I tell you what, I really, really enjoyed that yesterday. And hats off to all the cowboys and cowgirls at the American and then also the Daytona 500. It was fun.
We are getting ready. We're just in competition season, aren't we?
Oh, boy. And the PGA is swinging into a full season. The Masters is coming up before too long. Wow. I'm telling you. And Major League Baseball is right around the corner.
Yes, plus we've got local sports wrapping up. We've got the boys are in districts right now.
Yep.
And getting ready to move on into state. Girls are moving on into state. So lots of sports going on around there.
And congratulations to all the girls' teams in this area.
Exactly.
All right. Denny's Restaurant. We were over there last Thursday. Had a wonderful lunch bunch. I brought tears to my eyes. Man, there were a lot of people. We had just wall-to-wall people. It was great. Thank you, one and all. Denny's Restaurant thanks you. It was outstanding. And, of course, Denny's Restaurant, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, whatever you want, it's absolutely fantastic. And the service, impeccable. I mean, those ladies really, really work hard in there. And like I said, the menu items are just so delicious. You're going to love it. Stop in at 611 Overland in Burley and the new location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. And by golly, it's just great food. As I said, breakfast, lunch, or dinner at Denny's Restaurant. You stop in and see them today. Also, Barry Equipment and Rental. Oh, my goodness sakes. Really, really busy times, and they were at the Home and Garden Show this last weekend in Twin Falls, and now's the time to be thinking about cleaning up. Now, I know we're in a little cold spell right now, but this is winter yet. And right around the corner, spring, where you may need those Coyote tractors or those Bobcats or those Walker mowers. I'm telling you, they got them all. Got them all. 3 locations. South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Barry Equipment and Rental. Don't waste a lot of time running all over. All your retail equipment sales, equipment rentals, and parts and service at Barry Equipment and Rental. Really nice people. Now let's get a little serious here for a moment. I'm going to go ahead and say what I think about Barack Obama. And I will not be cowed. I will not be threatened by the Democrats that always want to stand up and protect this man. It almost seems that Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and even now Department of Homeland Security Chief Jay Johnson They are going out of their way to give Muslims the upper hand. Why are they so protective of Muslims? Why would they say something so stupid as to fearing right-wing terrorism in this country more than radical Islam? When I heard that this weekend, it was jaw-dropping. It was absolutely jaw-dropping. They are saying that a person like myself, I am right-wing, I am very conservative, I am more of a threat and a danger than Muslim terrorism, radical Islam. And what is really becoming very spooky for me is this protectionist attitude that this administration is showing. Why yesterday morning would Department of Homeland Security Jay Johnson say, if you're going to the Mall of America in Minnesota, or any mall, be careful. Honestly, that's what he said. He said, just be careful. He didn't say that we're doing all we can to make sure that security's beefed up. He didn't say anything about how we're investigating all the threats. He didn't say anything about, well, we're going to try to catch the bad guys if they're out there trying to do harm to anybody. He just said, be careful. Be careful. And then Obama, caller, I'm coming just a minute. Obama saying that terrorists are not tied to Islam in any way, shape, or form. Are you kidding me? They claim Islamic 7th century values. They shout Allah Akbar. And there's no tie? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. The one to fear is Barack Obama, and we should have the right to petition our government, but as long as this guy is in power, that's not going to happen. What's it going to take for the military to take this government over before it is too late to save our country?
I don't know. I think that we're being sold out. I think that we're being thrown on the floor and stomped on. I think this administration is doing all they can to cater to the evil and not doing anything to protect the innocent and the people that have a value system in this country. I am very concerned, and I'm going to come right out and say it, that I think that Obama and his staff and his administration, as I said a moment ago, are so protective of Islam, radical Islam, and the Muslim movement. I think that they're absolutely showing cowardice the way they're handling this situation.
Well, going through the computer yesterday and the day before, there was something on the internet where Barack Obama was basically saying he was going to do as much damage as he can to this country in the time he's got left.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Tony. I want to prevail upon you, and I mean this. You're a dear friend, and please do not feel like I'm chastising you. No? You've got to look. You've got to look at a lot of things that are on the computer and the internet, and look at them with a jaded eye, because unless they've been snoped out to the point where you can prove and verify, you don't want to believe everything you read. Please, I'm urging you.
Well, this guy makes you suspicious of every darn thing that he does, and people can't help feeling that way.
Oh, I understand that. I do not trust this man. I do not like this man. I do not like his so-called value system. I do not like his ideology. You're not talking to an Obama friend, I'll tell you that. God bless you, Tony. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
We got to take a quick break and have our Capital Press Ag Minute, and it's brought to you by a lovely lady, Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology. Did you hear that? Did you hear what I just said? Well, if you didn't, then you'd better have a hearing screening. That's right. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology at 1218 9th Street, Unit 2, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. And the number, write it down, 312-0957, 312-0957, and have your hearing test taken care of, okay? Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology. Did you hear that? Okay, here now, the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
Idaho State University and Montana State University researchers believe a common blood test for evaluating performance of elite athletes could help the cattle industry better assess the disposition of livestock. The project utilized readily available, low-cost sport performance meters that instantly estimate lactate levels from a single drop of blood. A lower lactate reading following strenuous exercise indicates an athlete is in excellent shape and well-equipped to handle the stress of competition. Michael Myers, an associate professor of sports science at ISU, reasoned the same simple test could measure stress in steers, enabling producers to breed animals with docile dispositions, evaluate individual animals, and monitor how handling and facility design affect cattle stress. This is Brandon Tenner.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West's Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and Capital Press.
Absolutely. About 20% of the adults in the United States, 48 million people, report some degree of hearing loss. So please get a hold of Mount Harrison Audiology, 312-0957. Did you hear that? Hey, it is time to give away a half dozen of the most delicious cinnamon rolls you have ever sunk your grinners into, and that's from Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh my goodness. Now, if you've won before, you're not going to qualify now. Don't even call in if you've called before, because I'm not going to give them away more than once to any winner. Okay, we've got to spread it around a little bit. Now, don't forget that Sophie's Chatterbox can make up baskets of goodies for you, and they've got breakfast, lunch, and dinner over there. Absolutely delicious at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the square in Rupert. Here is the question of the day. To win a half dozen cinnamon rolls from Sophie's, and all you have to do is call her and let her know when you're coming in so they can be fresh and ready to go. Name, this is an easy question. Name 2 sports not played with a round ball. Name 2 sports not played with a round ball. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hurry. Somebody give me a call real fast. Name 2 sports not played with a round ball. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Rugby and football.
Who is this?
Dave Gibson.
Dave Gibson, do you like cinnamon rolls?
Yes, I do.
Well, just close your eyes for a minute and just envision a half dozen of the delicious cinnamon rolls from Sophie's. Dave Gibson, go on in there, call them first, show them your ID, and you've got them, okay?
I'll do it.
Congratulations. Rugby and football not played with a round ball. Very well done. Very well done. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the square in Rupert. Really good.
I would have thrown out hockey, too.
Yeah, that's not with the ball.
That's with the puck.
That's with the puck, and yet the puck is round, but it has 2 flat sides.
Yeah,
and
so it's not round.
It is round.
It's not a ball.
Well, I didn't say a ball. I said name 2 sports. Are you trying to give me a hard time?
Always.
Oh, the girl.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, I want to tell you, too, about our friends at Scouts CarQuest Centers real quick before we get back into our subject matter. Don't forget, every detail matters at Scows, and if you haven't signed up for that fleet filter survey, you better do it right now today. Take the time and the effort, and it's a great way to save time when something breaks down this spring, and they can help you, I'll guarantee you. Help find out about the survey, just give them a call at any one of the 3 locations, and that's, of course, Scows CarQuest Centers. They've got everything for your automobiles, absolutely. All the replacement products, accessories, and supplies, virtually for every vehicle. Scouts CarQuest in Rupert, you better believe it. Burley, 518 Overland, and the Big Truck Center, exit 211 I-84. Don't forget Scouts CarQuest Auto and Truck Parts. Every detail matters. All right, give us a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I wanted to ask you folks to comment about Rudy Giuliani. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani I'm just going to stand up and say he's right. He had every right to criticize Barack Obama. I don't know why there is this golden gilded cage around the president, especially this one, to the point where expressions, free speech, and criticisms, they'll come after you. And that's exactly what's happened. I don't think Obama does love this country and does love this Constitution the way he should. And I think that New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani is 1,000% right when he criticized Obama for what he's doing, how he's doing it, and why. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
I totally agree, but what was kind of backtracking a little bit, he says, well, I don't question his patriotism, but he questions whether he loved the country. And I'm saying, how can you not, if you don't love the country, how can you be patriotic? That was my thought when he said that.
Yeah, now let's break this down a little bit. I agree with you. I think that the fur was flying, and I think that Giuliani was trying to protect himself a little bit, and also possibly trying to protect Scott Walker, which is another story altogether. Scott Walker was hailed in the press as being a part of this verbiage. He was not. He was not, and anybody that says he was is lying. It was a promotional event for Scott Walker. When Giuliani said this, Walker had nothing to do with it, and I'm sick and tired of the left always tying their shoelaces together and blaming everybody in one lump sum.
Oh, absolutely. And they're really going after Scott Walker, of course, because he doesn't have a college education. And I'm thinking, well, from what I can tell, most people that come out of college become liberals, or you don't get a degree.
Well, let's just face this, Adrian. Barack Obama supposedly is the most educated president we've ever had, and how's that working out for us?
Yeah, well, he's educated in how to be a good socialist and a good little Marxist as well. It seems like by his policies.
I want to have you respond to something real quick, and I've got other calls waiting. I got to get them in there, but I want to have you respond to what's going on right now with the Department of Homeland Security and their complete lacks of understanding what's going on. And a masked narrator of a video has urged. He didn't urge Presbyterians. He didn't urge Mormons. He didn't urge Lutherans, but he urged Muslims to attack shopping malls all over the world, including the Mall of America. So how can this idiotic administration say that radical Islam is not a part of it?
Well, and that it's not part of America? I mean, it's just, it's just totally, ridiculous. And it just shows what his allegiance is, in my opinion. I mean, it's so obvious as to who what his allegiance. He's done nothing to really stop. We left all of our equipment over there. Most of that equipment you see from these films, from these ISIS and so forth, it's all American equipment.
Yeah.
That we left over there.
Yep.
It's unbelievable that we put them into power, and it's through the policies of this administration. So people, now that we're going to send ground troops in there, I think 25,000 or something, we're putting more of our American young guys in harm's way, and there's going to be some of them that are going to be killed and maimed. And because of the ineptness or deliberate plan, perhaps, of a president that really favors the other side.
Yeah, and stop right there. You do not ever tell your enemy or your adversary what you're going to do, how much you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and why. I mean, that is the same analogy as I've used many times on this program, being in a prize fight and leaning over and telling the other manager of the other boxer, hey, we're going to lead with a left hook and then a right cross. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard of.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the military people, you don't tell the enemy. Can you imagine if we called the Germans up and told them we're going to have a D-Day invasion?
Yeah, nobody would be home. Nobody would be home.
It's just unbelievable that we tell them, and this is not the first time this has happened, but it just keeps going on, and when are people going to wake up to the,
the ineptness, and as far as I'm concerned, of course they won't touch the impeachment part because of his color, but I can guarantee you that's what needs to happen. I mean, his lies and lies and lies just go on and on.
I watched with great interest a lot of the generals and a lot of the military men, the colonels, etc., that were interviewed after Obama did something so stupid as to telling everybody what they're going to do. And honestly, some of them, they didn't even have the verbiage. They just sat there and shook their heads and rolled their eyes to the ceiling. This man has done more to destroy the attitude of our military than any other president in our history.
Well, absolutely. They realize that the enemy knows what they're supposed to be doing. So now, it really is unbelievable that we allow this. And where's our Congress and our elected people to, put this guy into the framework of where he really is?
I agree. I got to run and do a commercial, Adrian. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have
Thank
a great
you.
day. Thank you very much.
Don't forget Sheridan Ranch 20th Annual Production Sale. We're going to have old Cordell on the phone with us this week, I think. And I want to remind you that Sheridan Ranch, great big bull sale, March 7th at 1 p.m. at the Burley Livestock Auction Yards, is absolutely a sale you do not want to miss. No, you don't want to miss it. I mean, they've got the Gelbvieh, Angus, and Balancers, and they've got 15 head of bulls coming 2-year-olds, 55 head going to be big mature yearlings. Now, these bulls have been raised up in the rocks. They know how to travel. And Cordell will give you free delivery up to 300 miles. They're going to have complimentary lunch right there at the sale ring that day. And I'll tell you what, these are good quality cattle. For more information, call Cordell at 824-5531. Sheridan Ranch 20th Annual Production Sale, March 7th at 1 p.m., Burley Livestock Sale Yard. It is going to be a ripping good sale, I'll tell you. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Just honestly, I don't understand what's going on in this country. We're so blasé. We're just sitting back, and here's a story in the paper. Extremists. Now, they didn't say Muslim terrorists. They said extremists urge attacks on U.S. malls. Now, in the story, they said, the masked narrator concluded by calling on Muslims to attack shopping malls, specifically naming the Mall of America in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Calling on Muslims. I'm not making this up. It's right here in print from the AP. Like I said, he didn't call on Presbyterians, Episcopalians, Mormons, Lutherans. He said, calling on Muslims to attack. And yet this president is so blinded and so naive and so, honestly, I think, fearful of calling it what the problem is. Why? Time for a weather forecast. Weather this hour brought to you by Red's Trading Post, 203 Fifth Avenue South in Twin Falls, and they have been in historic Old Town Twin Falls since way back in 1936. Holy cow. Reds will give you top dollar for your used guns, and check with them regarding all the ammunition. They've got new shipments coming in all the time, and all the different brands of guns at Red's Trading Post, and the best of service, too, with the best of people. Red's Trading Post in Twin Falls, and right now, here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers for Zimmer's Ranch. It's going to be cool. It's going to be sunny. Today is going to be clear tonight. Everything is going to be rather fine. Well, cool for sure. But just to give you a heads up, Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday, got snow in the forecast. 49 for the high today. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather. Just see the weather you got.
Thank you very much. Red's Trading Post, Michael Rogers' weather, 203 Fifth Avenue South in Twin Falls. Stop in and see Ryan and his very, very professional staff today at Red's Trading Post. You know something, folks? Why, if you're any member of the liberal left, first of all, I feel sorry for you. And second of all, wise up and understand what's happening. Another story that was in the paper just this weekend, as a matter of fact, and the headline was, "No Faith Responsible for Terrorism." What? Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. You have seen him on many, many newscasts nationwide. And I have had him on my program many times. He has come out and said that Obama just absolutely is wrong. It is radical Islam. It needs to be addressed as such. But the president won't do it. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. I just want to comment on the fact that the Mall of America is a prime place to have a break-in and a mess-up because Minnesota. It seems like if you're going to be a Muslim and you're going to come to the United States and you're going to get indoctrinated in the program, go to Minnesota.
Chris.
And that seems to be part of our problem.
Chris,
we shut down Minnesota.
Let me just ask you a question real quick and see if you followed this on the news, okay?
Uh-huh.
There have been 40 radical Islam terrorists from Minnesota that supposedly DHS and the FBI are watching. Let's break this down just a little bit. Of what color is their skin?
Black.
Of what religion do they belong to?
The Muslim.
I see. So now we have blacks, and we have Muslims, and we have 40 from Minneapolis area alone trying to go over and be a part of either Al-Qaeda or ISIS. If the main ingredient and the tying effect is the fact that they are with radical Islam, and the president said no faith is responsible for terrorism, who you gonna believe, Chris?
Well, of course it must be the Christians. No, he scares me more and more and more. And the Mall of America is an ideal place to blow the place up because then they can show how fair-minded they are. They're doing damage in their own state.
What elevated leadership purpose is an imam? Go ahead and answer that.
I don't know, head of whatever they call it.
Head of the mosques, etc., right? Okay. So when you have imams getting on television with whether it's Hannity or whether it's O'Reilly or whether it's Laura Ingraham or whomever, or a newscast with Brett Blair or anybody else, and they're professing the fact that they are absolutely in support of all this garbage and jihad, and Obama comes out and says, we are not at war with Islam. We're at war with people who have perverted Islam. How do you respond to that?
I think that he's protected his own family because we all have questions about his Christian beliefs.
I have no faith in Obama at all. He was raised as a Muslim. He was raised in Muslim territories and countries as a youth. He followed their doctrine. Why should I believe the best of this man?
Well, I think that the majority of Americans are beginning to believe just like you and me, and yet I don't know how Americans think they can react in order to make a change.
Well, okay. Now, do you know who I was talking about a few moments ago when I mentioned Dr. Zuhdi Jasser?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you heard him or not. He's been on my program a couple of times, and I'm going to have him back in about a week and a half.
Well, I have heard him. Maybe if you've had him on recently, I might not have.
But anyway, what I'm saying is when he was asked, he said, too, that Obama is wrong. He's wrong in the way he's doing this. And Zuhdi Jasser is a well-respected Muslim.
Yeah, he's a Muslim who has the ability to think. He's not so indoctrinated that he can't see the difference between black and white.
And then, my dear, we have the illustrious blonde bombshell with an IQ of a hockey puck, Marie Harf. I can't wait to hear what you think of Marie Harf.
Well, I try not to watch her too often because she kind of makes my stomach turn over. Because right now, what we need more than anything are patriots in our government. Patriots that know when a train is coming down the track and are willing to give us a warning.
But you know, she is so much smarter than you and I. Marie has come out and said that her view is simply too nuanced for media commentators to ingest. Well, now, we should be humbled, Chris, because here we have a young lady with her dark horn-rimmed glasses, and she's telling us that she is too nuanced for the rest of us.
Well, the thing about it is she's been protected in academia, listening to the quote-unquote academics, and she's been baptized in it. And the problem is that real life, if she'd get out into the masses and go to work and really do something, she'd probably find out that she was wrong.
How can you absolutely sit there in your house with that great big clock ready to chime at any moment and tell me that she's an elitist and we should really sit back and listen to her?
Well, I graduated from college, and I thought I knew a lot about everything. And in the next 30 years, I have gotten a real education.
I got to run, but thank you so much for your call.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Thank you very much. I'm telling you, folks, it's not laughable. It's not funny. But if I wasn't giggling, I'd be crying. This lunacy that we call an Obama administration is absolutely tipped upside down. They're a bunch of jugheads that have no business running anything. And we're paying the price. Don't forget Mini-Cash Sales, 1321 East Main in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes. I'll tell you, all your spring remodeling projects with Zach and Joanne and the rest of the crew. Oh, we just bought a new back door from those folks. And the excellent in putting it in. The people were really good to work with. They do a great, great job. Please, for all your doors, garage doors, lumber, vinyl and metal siding, and they've even got all the Tartar and Farm and Ranch equipment, too. The panels, cattle handling equipment. Holy smokes, the list goes on and on. Mini-Cash Sales, sponsoring Dr. History on Tuesdays. Don't miss it. 1321 East Main in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again.
Yes, sir.
Everything going on now, they've added another scandal as far as I'm concerned. And if I'd have been that Secretary of Defense that was standing there at the podium and Biden stuck his hands all over my wife like he was doing, I tell you what, I'd have told him to take that thing and shove it, and I'd have knocked his damn head off.
You know, Joe Biden has got to be one of the biggest lecherous old men in politics. There's a couple others. He kind of fits right in with the old Kennedy family, etc. But I agree with you. I think what he should have done is turned around and said to the cameras, if you'll wait just a moment, and then turned around and decked Joe Biden right on the spot.
They should have done it because she was too uncomfortable to be standing there like that. Kept hanging on to it.
Yep.
I wouldn't have put up with it. Nobody should.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I think less of Biden every day, and I think even less than I should have because he opens his mouth every day.
Too bad his wife, the doctor, can't perform an operation.
Don't please go any further. Thank you, Alan. Goodbye. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Now, I got a picture here on my desk of Joe Biden whispering into the new Secretary of Defense's wife's ear and massaging her shoulders and everything. And I think he should have just stopped the induction ceremony and turned around and said, Joe, I'll see you out in the backyard in about 5 minutes. Anyhow, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Founders Celebration at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, Oh, my goodness, have they got things for you. Listen to this. All-season tread tires economically priced, some starting as low as $39.99. I'm not kidding you. Some as low as $39.99. And, of course, the very best in brake service. Oh, they know brakes. And front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and all the batteries. They've got all the tires for your driving need. Every single tire. And don't forget they've got the best in people. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin. Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. The best. Let's see, who's having an anniversary today? Sam and Donna Perkins. These are really nice people. And another lady, we missed her birthday last week because we're not on the air on Fridays, and that's Lorna Arbogast. She had a birthday on Friday. So to the anniversary special with the Perkins and Lorna with her birthday, happy anniversary. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Quick note, the Oscars last night. I told my wife when they were all parading in on the red carpet as we watched a little bit of it, I said, what phony plastic people. Now, I think I can say that because I have been in 5 different motion pictures. And believe me, most of the people are very plastic and very phony and are starstruck by themselves when they look in the mirror. And then they also had gay Neil Patrick Harris as the MC, and I found nothing entertaining, nothing interesting about him as the master of ceremonies. And I thought back, and I guess I'm showing my age here, I thought back to how good it used to be with the likes of Bob Hope. That was a guy that really had the zingers and the one-liners and was excellent. And it's come to this? And I thought the best movie got 1 award, and that was the Best Sound Award, and that went to American Sniper. It's really a shame. Really, really a shame. And that was the Oscars last night with all the plastic people. Coming up next hour, don't forget we've got Frosty Woldridge and then Alliance Defending Freedom and much, much more. Zeb at the Ranch, don't go away. I'll be back in 6. Oh my, here we go, hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you and serving you well with the best of tires and brake service, etc. And of course, also one of our great advertisers, Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Locally owned and operated. Those are key words. Locally owned and operated. They know you. They take care of you. Great service. Western Waste Services. Always at your disposal. All you have to do is call and get on the route service. Call 734-6969. Very, very proud to be a part of their great big Western Waste family. Yes, they take care of us. They've got all the dumpsters, the porta potties. They've got everything. Please give them a call today. Taking care of you, Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. We're going to have Frosty on the air in just a moment. I always look forward to Mondays. And right now, first of all, I want to remind you about Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear, dear friend Joel Heward, the manager. You know, there's family just absolutely taking care of other families. And their staff, they are so flexible in their hours because they are there when you need them. Absolutely. And they can travel to the rural towns and churches and help you with all the arrangements when there's the passing of a loved one. And don't forget, too, that they always work with you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please contact them today. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. I don't know what it was that came in. I changed some of the dial tone, and it's a little bit spooky. Gina, has Frosty not called in yet?
No, huh?
Oh, getting a little
rather
nervous.
unusual because he's usually like spot on. So can you shoot me a phone number or something and I can call him?
Deanna, if you'd come here, I'll write down the number for Gina to call Frosty if you would.
301 something.
No, it's not 301. It is the following. I'll write it down really quick. Hold on. 303 there we go. 61. There you go. That's Frosty's number. And we'll have more with Frosty Woolridge hopefully in the next few minutes. But until then, give us a call. 436-2244 1-866-927-4587. Something that is coming up this next weekend that is extremely important. And I say this because you should be there. And if you have questions, you should be there. If you have a point of view that you want discussed, you should be there. And that's the Minnecasia Lincoln Day Luncheon, which is going to be held this next Saturday, February 28th at Maury's Steakhouse in Burley, starting with the meet and greet at 12 noon. And then, of course, lunch at 1 p.m. So there you go. And everybody should be there. And tickets will be on sale at the door, and we will see you there. Thank you, Deanna. I appreciate your help on that. I noticed, and I'm going to try to get a hold of these people with the Mustang Makeover. I announced that first ever Extreme Mustang Makeover last year up at the Ford Idaho Horse Park in Nampa. And to say the least, I was absolutely impressed with everything they did with these Mustangs. The training and the trainers were outstanding. And I see that they're looking for more trainers for this event coming up in July 24, 25, and 26, I believe. So if you'd like to become a trainer, just get a hold of the BLM offices, and they in turn can get your name forwarded, and you might become one of the trainers for one of the big Wild Mustangs with that Extreme Makeover coming up in July at the Ford Idaho Horse Park in Nampa. It's going to be quite a deal. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While we're waiting for my dear friend Frosty to call in, what about all these foreign donations coming into Hillary's campaign? Yeah, they're illegal. They're not supposed to do this. Hillary Clinton has been accepting money into the fold from foreign donations, foreign countries, foreign leaders. No, Hillary, you can't do that. And the news media isn't even touching this story. The only network that's doing anything about it has been Fox News. The CNNs, MSNBCs, NBC, CBS, ABC, they haven't done a thing on this story. It's illegal, as have been many things with Hillary Clinton. Did you say something, Gina? I guess
no, but
not.
I can if you want me to.
Oh, sure. What do you think about this? You know, I'm really appalled that here is a person that very possibly will get the nomination from the left and the Democrats to run for president, Hillary Clinton, and she has nothing as far as good attributes about her. Her track record is virtually nil. She didn't do anything as a senator of New York. She did even less as a wife of former President Bill Clinton, and then as
let's talk. Thank you. Yes, I was going to say, and let's talk about the Secretary of State.
I'm going right to Secretary of State. There's not anything that she did that was earth-shattering or shaping the world in a safer place, and now accepting money from a lot of these foreign countries. I mean, this woman absolutely is disgusting.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Why is she so popular? Why do people just
I can't answer that.
hold her up on that pedestal? If they truly did some digging and looked at her past, they would know what kind of a person she truly is inside of her heart. And is that the kind of person that we want to be running our country? It's not the person that I want.
Let me ask you something, though, Gina. Where is the like factor, the L-I-K-E factor? I have heard Democrats away from TV cameras say that, well, as a person, I don't really like Hillary Clinton. But are they supporting her just because they're all rushing down the same bowling alley trying to knock over the pins, and they're kind of in lockstep with her because she's a Democrat? Yeah. I mean, I just can't understand.
Name recognition.
I know it's name recognition, but then look at all the Republicans. Look at all the people that are running for the Republican nomination. Mm-hmm. One in particular that is supposedly in the lead, and I will do my utmost. Maybe you won't agree with me on this, but I am going to do my utmost to see that he does not get the nomination, and that's Jeb Bush.
Oh, please, yeah, do whatever you. I do not want to see another Bush in office. I'm sorry.
I wrote in my blog.
We need somebody else. We need fresh blood.
Yeah, I wrote in my blog that I don't want to see another Bush being watered in the White House.
No.
Not at all.
I'd like to see maybe Scott Walker, somebody else that, is not only going to have the backbone, but has the track record, has, been a proven governor, a proven senator, where we can go on, we can look at what they voted for, know what they stand for, know what their platform is going to be, and therefore we can make an informed decision. I'm sorry, I know a little bit too much about Jeb Bush to actually put my vote behind him. I just can't do it.
Well, I've read the story of Jeb growing up. I don't want another Bush in the White House. I don't think this country is ready for that, if ever again. If he had a different last name, still, the politics are running right down the same bowling alley. Yes. But when I look at this situation with some of, like you said, the new blood, absolutely, there are many, many people that come to mind that would be much more qualified than Jeb Bush. He is going to bring with him the old naysayers in the Republican Party, which is unfortunate. The McCains, the McConnells, and that type of thing. Yeah. But boy, do I agree with you with the likes of Scott Walker that would shake things up. I'll tell you what, I'd make a wager on you.
Okay.
And I'll stand behind this, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. You put up at a presidential debate behind the podium Hillary Clinton, and then put Governor Scott Walker from Wisconsin, and he will tie her up like a pretzel.
You know what? And I would really, really enjoy watching that, because, I think that she really needs to be called onto the carpet, and I think, and I could be wrong, but this is going to be her blanket answer. Gee, I really don't remember that.
Or
I was having some medical issues at that time, and golly, I don't recall.
Yeah, I hit my head, and I went through a lot of medication changes at that time, and then also, what difference does it make?
Yeah. So, I wish, and this is just my wish, that the left, the Democratic Party, would actually put their pennies behind somebody else, somebody who would actually be worthy of being a competitor that, those who would be riding the fence could do their research on and put up into that position. But they're going with the popularity contest. This is all about the name and the money factor.
You know who I would say, and you're going to laugh at me for this.
Okay.
If I were a Democrat, heaven forbid that never happens.
That's tough for you to say.
But you're going to laugh at this maybe, or you might agree with me. But I am looking at Joe Manchin. I think that guy, Joe Manchin from Virginia, I think he would be absolutely outstanding as a Democratic nod for the presidency.
I'm going to have to, I've not heard his name at all.
Oh, yeah. He's a sharp cookie. And he does not believe in gun control. He believes, because of the state he's from, in the necessary need for coal mining and coal as an energy source. Yeah. And I've got a lot of respect for the guy.
Okay, so I just brought up his page. So let me do a little bit of reading on him because I've not heard his name mentioned yet. So I want to do some reading on him.
All right, that's just my pick. That's my pick.
I'm
not.
Pick?
Yep, that's my pick.
You know what? I've been, kind of leaning towards if I was going to vote that way, Elizabeth Warren. But there's just been a couple of things that I really can't agree with her on. And so let me do some research on him, and I might throw my coins behind him.
Okay, well, you do some research. You do a quick scan, QS, and I will come back after I do these commercials, okay?
You got it. Okay.
Don't forget Let's Ride. I was over there the other day, and I'm telling you, they got a brand new head of their service department. What a nice man. And the whole staff, so energetic and always there to help you. Oh, my, yeah, I had my bike serviced, and oh, my, they're ready to go. You better believe it. Let's Ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Heyburn, where the fun is sold. Don't forget they got 0% financing on ATVs, and they've got rebates on dirt bikes. What a great time to buy. And as I stressed, you should make sure you get your four-wheelers over there and get them serviced now because you're going to be needing them, and then you're going to go, oh, darn, I got to wait. Well, you won't have to wait. If you get it taken care of right now at Let's Ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Heyburn, where the fun is sold. Really good people. Also, real quick, I want to remind you, too, when you're on Highway 24 headed to Rupert, don't forget Cameron and Siemens Insurance, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more, and the best of service for you. Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens, dedicated and responsive to your needs, always accessible and devoted to you, their clients. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, 436-4424. All right, you had a chance for your quick scan of Joe. What do you think?
Okay, so he did serve as governor of West Virginia, so I do like about that. So he's got some credibility there. I've been sitting here going through what he's for. In 2011, through the Congressional Quarterly, he was ranked the second most bipartisan senator in the Democratic caucus back in 2011, so I like that about him. He delivered a speech on the Senate floor calling for a substantial and responsible reduction to the United States military presence in Afghanistan. He is for, of course, he's from the South, so he likes his Second Amendment rights. He has also enacted something, it's kind of like the Amber Alert, but it's called the Silver Alert.
That's right.
For missing senior citizens, so I like that, so he's proactive.
You can go on and on about Joe, but you know something? The thing about Joe is he's a straight shooter. I have seen him in debates with the other side, Republicans. I have seen Republicans like Ted Cruz and others be very, very cordial to the man because they have respect for him. And when you can look across the aisles and you've got to work with the likes of the Harry Reids and the Dick Durbins and all those people that have the combined IQ of a box of rocks, old Joe's a pretty sharp cookie.
Well, you know what, and that's what it boils down to. If you're going to be elected, you have to work with not just one side. You have to work with both sides. You have to make the compromise and everything. It seems like he is willing to hear both sides and make the logical choice, what is best for the American public, not what's best for the lobbyists, not what's best for some sort of major corporation. He's doing what's best for the American people.
But the people in this United States deserve more now than ever before in the history of our elections. They deserve people that they can hear everything about, whether it's Joe Manchin or whether it's Scott Walker. I don't care. But you know as well as I do that if Hillary runs, and I dare you to tell me I'm wrong on this, if Hillary does get the nod on the Democratic side, there is still that media cover-up that's going to sanctify everything she's done and not be honest to the American voting public.
Exactly, because there's just too much dirt.
That's right.
Throughout her entire political career. Let's go back to before her husband was even nominated as president. Let's go back to Arkansas. I mean, there was a ton of political dirt there that they had to sweep under the rug in lawsuits.
Absolutely.
And so if we could find out more about this guy, open up the closet, see if there's any skeletons in there, which you know what, if there's one or two, that's fine. As long as he's open and honest about it, I don't care.
I have really enjoyed some of his politics and the way he's been kind of extending a hand across the aisle. And yet he's hard-nosed. I like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying at all that I lean towards Democrats, but I'm saying if he would run against some new blood on the Republican, I think we, the American people, would all be the better for it.
You know what? And I just say, okay, so I got into his Wikipedia page, and right up there at the top it says, Manchin redirects here for Irish saints of this name. So basically he's saying he's Irish, so, well, you know, I'm Irish too. I might.
Oh, boy, did you ever change your vote in a hurry?
You know, I would like to see more about this guy. I would like to hear more from him to see where he stands. I mean, I know who I would like to see on the Republican Party. You know, there's a couple that I would like to see, you know, as front runners, and then, you know, they would be vetted out. But I'd like to see him as one of the top front runners on the Democratic side. And if we could just get away from the political correctness. I mean, let's be honest, let's be open, wear your heart on your sleeve, and don't worry about political correctness.
But you have to admit to me, and you were very honest, that you hadn't even thought of him until I brought it up. And
not even on the radar.
I went through I bet you I went through last Friday here in my office at least 50 or 60 names. And I kept coming back to his as a possible Democratic nod because of his integrity, his honesty, and his forthrightness on issues. And I would like to see Scott Walker on the Republican side and Joe on the Democratic side. And I'll tell you something, I think it would be a better election for the American public.
So how do we get the people out there to say, okay, these are the people that you need to put in your 2 cents behind?
You know,
instead of Hillary Clinton, instead of the Elizabeth Warrens, instead of, you know, some of the other Democrats that we know that they're corrupt. How do we put him up into the spotlight?
I agree with you, but, you know, therein is the question because of the Clinton machine.
Yes.
And you know as well as I do how strong the Clinton machine is, the money from all the dark and dreary sources behind closed doors.
Yes.
And I don't think it'll ever happen that Hillary will not get the nod. I don't think Joe Manchin will get anything as far as maybe just lip service, but he would be my pick on the Democratic side, and Scott Walker on the Republican. By the way, did you hear what the liberals did at my former alma mater in Wisconsin?
Oh, I did not.
Oh, you're going to cringe at this. You know, I attended for a semester Whitewater State University, and then I transferred later to the U of W at Madison, okay?
All right.
So I went to Whitewater State University. I know the campus. I know the liberalized thought over there. Well, one of the women professors at Whitewater, her name is, I got to find it here. Hold on just a minute. Beth Luke. She came out last week and said that she is openly going to give extra credit to any student that attends and tries to be disruptive at a Scott Walker rally.
What?
Yeah.
That's not educational.
Oh, really? Well,
That's
son of a gun.
It's spiteful, but it's not educational.
I couldn't believe it. Now, how many Republicans and right-wingers have you heard doing something like that?
I have not heard of one, and I think if we did hear of one, then they would have been already hung in the polls of the public media.
This is ridiculous, and she's a college educator at Whitewater State University, a woman's professor, and she came right out and said, I will give extra credit to anybody to go and disrupt and be anti-Scott Walker at the rallies.
Okay, so is she? I'm assuming and hoping that she is catching some backlash for this.
Little by little, but you know as well as I do, the NBCs, CBSs, and ABCs aren't going to touch it.
No, they're not.
No. But I'm just fed up with the left and their filthy, slovenly, sticky gum-on-the-floor attitude.
You know, and what's sad to me is that the media just lets them get away with it. They're not. The media is. We're the ones that are supposed to be calling them onto the carpet.
Yeah.
We're the ones that are supposed to be, digging into the background and saying, well, why this, why that, why are you blah blah blah, but we are not. We are letting the left and the ultimate corporate dollar dictate what we get to watch on the news.
You know as well as I do that you could be squeaky clean like a heavy wax on a linoleum floor.
Ivory bar soap.
Yep, and the left will twist and distort, and they will come out with something that they will give 18 minutes every newscast to how bad and how poor you are.
And it's disgusting.
Yes, it is. But anyway, I'm glad you agree with me on my choice.
I'm going to do a little bit more research on Joe Manchin. You piqued my interest.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, what happened to Frosty. And again, I hope it's nothing serious. Normally, he is like a tick-tock of a clock calling in right on time from Golden, Colorado. So I don't know where he is, and I apologize. But we really do miss having him on our program. Let's take just a moment, and we're going to talk a little bit about Parkview Rehabilitation and Care Center at 2303 Park Avenue in Burley. Now, it really is something to be awarded a 5-star rating from the government. That's the highest rating awarded to skilled nursing facilities. It is. And they provide medical nursing service for seniors with serious illnesses or disabilities 24 hours a day, and by the best of registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, and certified nurses' aides. They have never forgotten, and they never will, that you are their valued customer and guest. And the reason that they're there. Please give them a call and find out more. 677-3073. That number again, 677-3073. Parkview Rehabilitation and Care Center. You call them today. Really nice people. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I had another little public service announcement. What did I do with it right here? Adrian Arp sent me this note, and I've got to get it on. March 19th at 7 p.m. at the King's Little Theater at 2100 Park Avenue in Burley. They're going to have a very important meeting. The government's sending us down the drain again with their so-called free trade agreements. The topic is how pending free trade agreements with the European Union and Pacific Rim countries will result in economic and political union with the loss of individual liberty and national independence. This is going to be March 19th at 7 p.m. at the King's Little Theater, 2100 Park Avenue in Burley. Don't miss this. No admission charge, but donations would be welcome. Okay. Excuse me. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's see if we can go to the phone line. And I think Gina's got the lovely Kelly Fedoruk.
I can't get a hold of her either.
Oh, no. Can I give you a backup number real quick?
Please do.
Okay. 202-347-3622.
Say that one more time.
347-3622. How's that?
3622?
Yeah. 347-3622.
Dialing and waiting.
Okay, thank you. While we're waiting to see if the rest of the morning will get flushed down the drain with no guests showing up on time. Pardon me?
Fax machine.
That's the number they gave me. This is fun. So again, we sit here, and our backup plan is to have calls. 436-2244-1866. Deanne, please come in here and try the numbers for Kelly Fedoruk, if you would, please. And we'll see if we can find her and put her on the air. Once again, Kelly Fedoruk with the Alliance Defending Freedom. and hopefully we can get her on the air in just a moment, please. Give us a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please try to call. Those numbers are no good, if you would, please. And give us a jingle on the landline. I've been telling everybody about the Minnecash Lincoln Day Luncheon, and some of you have said, well, boy, I want to tell them what I think about what's going on, or I want to tell them what we need to have. Well, there is a perfect time to tell your politicals what you want or don't want at the Minnecash Lincoln Day Luncheon, and that's going to be this coming weekend on Saturday. Okay, at Maury's Steakhouse. Don't forget the meet and greet starts at 12 noon, and then the luncheon at 1 o'clock. Deanne, can I have that sheet back, please? They finally got a hold of her. Hello, Kelly Fedoruk. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Don't scare me like that, Kelly. Hello?
Don't scare you.
Yeah, you weren't at your number when we called originally, so we got really worried that maybe you weren't there this morning. Tell us a little back.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. I had to step out of the office, and I thought I had made my office phone connect to the cell phone, and I apologize, it didn't go through.
Oh, okay, that's no problem. Kelly, you have been fairly vocal, and I'm so glad to hear as a spokesperson about what's going on with a case of a flour company in Washington State. And I'm going to give a rough synopsis. They were told that they had to serve homosexuals as far as with flowers, I believe, for their wedding. And the lady said no, and then all of a sudden she might lose her business. Bring us up to speed as to what's happening on this case.
Absolutely. Well, this is a 70-year-old woman who has owned her flower shop now for nearly 40 years and has served and employed many different types of people, including those who identify as gay and lesbian, and has done so lovingly and with great dignity. And for the past decade, prior to this lawsuit starting, she has served and then become close friends with Rob Ingersoll, who has now sued her, and provided him flowers for Valentine's Day and for birthdays and other celebrations. But when Washington State changed its laws and redefined marriage, they asked her to provide full wedding support and to use her artistic skills to participate in and celebrate their same-sex wedding, which she had to politely decline and refer them to a different florist because of her beliefs on marriage, because she believes marriage is between a man and a woman, and she cannot support other types of what people have begun to redefine as marriage. And when this happened, the Attorney General, in an unprecedented move, found out about it and launched a lawsuit against her, not only against her business, but against her personally as well, which means she could stand to lose everything she owns, including her home and her whole life savings, for simply trying to follow her conscience. And the two gentlemen have also sued her. So she has a lot at stake here. And what's truly devastating is that the government is trying to tell her what she can do and what she must say or face punishment.
Kelly, I've sat and listened to this story and read about this story, and I'm absolutely outraged that the left and the homosexual agenda is like a mafia. They're like a mafia. They don't believe in anything like diversity. All they want is conformity. And they want conformity only to their opinion, and everyone else's First Amendment rights are to be trashed. I personally am going to fight back on this program as much as I can against the homosexual, gay, lesbian, and transgender agenda, because I find it to be very insidious that it's not for open discussion. It's not the liberal left. It's nothing more than just conformity to their sick viewpoints. Go ahead.
Well, Well, I think the bigger problem here is really the government. The government has decided that if you don't adhere to their particular view on a particular issue, that you can't run your business, that they can literally come after you and take away everything you own. And if the government could come after Barronelle, no one's freedom, no one's livelihood, no one's property is safe. And this is a truly terrifying time, really, to be in America and watch to see our freedoms that have been so fundamental taken away from us by the government that is supposed to protect them. And you mentioned diversity. Well, diversity and tolerance is not something being promoted or protected by the government. They've allowed those who believe in redefining marriage to push that agenda, but those who have a different view, the millions of Americans who believe marriage should be between a man and a woman, because those views don't track with what the government is demanding, they're risking and facing losing their jobs, losing their homes, losing everything that they've worked to achieve, which is a terrible place to be right now.
I don't know what the outcome is going to be on this case or any other cases like this with the same nature, but we are not a one-size-fits-all country, nor should we be. That's not what our founding fathers had envisioned with the Constitution. And I absolutely think that a business, whether it's my business, whether it's your business, whether it's this lady's business, we should have the right to refuse service on any and all accounts that go against the grain of our beliefs. And one thing that was really specific in this story, she did take the time and effort and a referral to go and give a name of another florist for the flowers. I think she did everything and went overboard to be of service to these people, even though she did not want that part of a homosexual wedding on her agenda.
Well, and the couple found, that's the thing, in every story, they found what they needed. In fact, they've said in testimony that they have had so many offers for free flowers that they could get married at least 20 times. So clearly, they're able to find flowers and find individuals excited and eager to celebrate their ceremony. But then this poor grandmother, who's simply trying to live by her beliefs, is facing lawsuits and being dragged into court and threatened with losing everything she owns simply because she doesn't agree with what the government says and doesn't want to celebrate the same-sex marriage, ideology that the state is promoting. So the ruling we got this week from the court, it ignores that preeminent civil rights law of our nation, which is the First Amendment. And it allows the states to force citizens to choose between essentially, conforming their beliefs to the state's ideology or suffering severe consequences.
Kelly, when you talk about the courts coming back and saying, thou shalt pay a fine, thou shalt agree to give up your religious freedom, and thou shalt agree to kind of a mind-altering experience with a kind of a mind-changing education seminar to go along with their absolutely perverted liberal left thinking. What happened to freedoms in this country? Are people not worried about freedoms that are being taken away?
Well, I think that's a great question. I think we all need to ask ourselves, in what universe is $2,000 a good deal for selling your freedom? I mean, essentially what the Attorney General of Washington State offered Barronelle this week. He said, if you agree to violate your conscience and pay $2,000, you can give up your freedom, and that's kind of not a deal anyone should make. And it's clear that the Attorney General has failed to recognize the importance and value of freedom, that you can't buy freedom. Freedom is something that is a non-negotiable that we all should have. And the Attorney General ought to be protecting the freedoms of every citizen in Washington State, rather than punishing those that he happens to disagree with their view. Especially here with Barronelle's religious view on what marriage is. So he's sending a very clear message. If you don't agree with my views, especially my views on marriage, you better watch out. You're going to lose everything that you own.
Well, why is it that in the last, and correct me if I'm wrong on the time frame, let's say the last 15 years of a concentrated effort by the liberal left for public acceptance of something that prior to those 15 years we looked at as ugly and sinister, and that's, of course, the homosexual agenda. Why is it now being pushed and literally portrayed as normal in our schools, normal in our churches, and people that are of biblical backgrounds are standing up still today and saying, no, this isn't right, we're not going to accept it, and they're called bigots and hate mongers. I will not weaken on this, Kelly, no matter what.
Well, that's good, and I think ultimately, Barronelle has said this repeatedly, and in such a loving way, and she makes the point that, America would be a better place if citizens respected each other's differences, and it would be a better place if the government still protected the freedom to have those differences. And the reality is, the bottom line comes down to this. There are millions of men, women, and children in this country who do have sincere beliefs about what marriage is, the importance of having a mom and dad in your life, and that marriage is something sacred. It's a sacred covenant that we make, and it's not a time to back down on that. The government should at a minimum protect our freedom to be able to talk about this and to adhere to our beliefs about what marriage is. That's something that should never be taken away from us.
Well, one thing you just said, and I want you to elaborate on it. You said respect differences, but I would add to that that if we are forced to respect their differences, but not forced for mind adjustment to accept the abnormal, because if we have our beliefs as Christians, and we have our beliefs that have been handed down from generation to generation, I will not be forced into being called a bigot or a hate monger by just following God's word and God's principles. I will fight this till the end times.
Right, and I think that's what this case comes down to is that everyone has that freedom, the freedom to follow what your beliefs might be, and others should have their freedom to follow what their belief system tells them that they want to follow. That's the beauty of freedom of conscience in our country. But right now, we're facing a government that's forcing us to either conform to its ideology or to lose our business, lose our homes, and that's absolutely something that we do need to fight back against to defend these first freedoms, defend our freedom of speech, our freedom of religion, our freedom to live and work according to that which inspires our life.
When you, on behalf of the Alliance Defending Freedom, hear about cases like this, and you hear that they have the American Civil Liberties Union on the left, and also, like in this case, the Washington Attorney General, alleging that this lady is guilty of unlawful discrimination, what do you do? How do you organize a great big frontal attack to go after them and try to beat them?
Well, we are committed to defending these individuals' freedoms because what's at stake is not only Barronelle and her family, but whatever precedent is set in this case is going to be very critical to other Americans. I mean, this case is particularly frightening because not only have they sued her business, but they've sued her in her personal capacity.
Oh, my.
Meaning they can come after her assets, her whole life savings. She's 70 years old. And take away her dream of building her business from scratch and making a living doing what she loves, making flowers. So it's so important to set strong legal precedents that this is not okay, that this is unconstitutional, and that the government's proper role is to protect everyone's freedoms. So in defending Barronelle and other cases, we are committed to setting strong precedents to keep open the doors for freedom.
All right. Kelly Fedoruk, tell everybody how they can follow Alliance Defending Freedom, this case and many others, please.
Well, you can go to AllianceDefendingFreedom.org. AllianceDefendingFreedom.org. And that is our website, and a lot of our cases, including Barronell's case, information is there on our website.
All right, Kelly, you did a great job as always. Thank you very much for being on my program, and come back, would you please?
I absolutely will. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. Alliance Defending Freedom.
All right.
Kelly Fedoruk, and I appreciate her taking the time to come on our program. Can you imagine? We're living in a day and age to where you have your morality, you have your beliefs. Oh, but that's tromped on. That's stepped on. That's made fun of. You are told that you have to conform and do what they tell you. You have to accept their filth or they'll sue you and run you out of business. I would rather be run out of business than conform to their filth and their pervertedness and go down swinging than I would to transition myself, my business, and my lifestyle to accept their absolute abnormality. Time for the weather. And the weather is brought to you this hour by our friends at Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. They will see you today. You give them a call, 324-2004. That number again, 324-2004. Absolutely everyday injuries and illnesses taken care of. And, of course, it's primarily for patients who have an injury or illness that requires immediate attention, but not serious enough for a visit to the hospital emergency room. Ear infections, sprains, strains, and fractures, injuries due to work accidents. Well, you just give them a call, 324-2004, Urgent Care of Jerome. And right now, here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers, Resent of the Ranch. It's going to be cool. It's going to be sunny. Today is going to be clear tonight. Everything is going to be rather fine. Well, cool for sure. But just to give you a heads up, Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday, got snow in the forecast. 49 for the high today. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There you go, Michael. Thank you. Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. Call them, 324-2004. Gina, are you still there by your microphone for a minute?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. This last story that we had with Kelly, and by the way, thank you to Deanne and you for doing yeoman's job of getting her found as to where she was. It's very indicative of what's happening around the United States today, of employers being forced and coerced into certain hiring practices or providing a service when it's against their beliefs and their doctrines, and the left saying, you conform with us, or we're going to call you a bigot, we're going to call you a hate monger, we're going to make you attend these sensitivity classes, we're going to run your business out of Dodge City. You are toast. You think that they're liberal? You think they want diversity? No. All they want is a Gestapo Mafia-type leaning situation. Do you agree or disagree?
I do agree, and this is what I will say. I equivalent this to a 3-year-old holding a temper tantrum.
Yes.
This is basically what this is. Well, if you aren't going to give me my way, well, then I am going to throw the biggest temper tantrum ever, and I am going to shame you, and I'm going to take everything that you have because I'm a 3-year-old.
This lady...
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. This lady's 70 years old, and I've got the affidavits right here in my hand, as a matter of fact. She said that she absolutely would find someone else that would provide the wedding flowers for a gay wedding, but she said she couldn't do it because these are her words, I follow the Bible's teaching that marriage is the union of one man and one woman. I am no longer going to be a part of anything that would go against my beliefs, and now the government and the lawyers and the state attorney general are telling her that she has to pay at least a $2,000 fine and give up her religious freedom.
No, I don't ever do that. Don't. I'm sorry. Don't. And maybe instead of, and this is kind of sad for me to say, maybe instead of just saying, well, I can't provide the service to you because I don't believe in this and I believe in something else, just say, gee, I'm just all booked up, and I just don't have the time.
I don't know if that would work. Or in the case of, remember the story they had about the cake maker in Colorado that said, no, I will not make a cake for a gay wedding. And they referred also down the street to another baker. And if I was forced and coerced to make a cake, if I were a cake baker, and it absolutely went against my religious convictions, which it does, that cake would be the lousiest doggone cake you ever saw.
Well, and I just go back to this because all of the stories and all of the cases, that the ADF covers, specifically dealing with this topic, what I hear is, I'm a 3-year-old holding a temper tantrum, and I'm going to continue to hold this temper tantrum until I get my way.
Yeah, but Gina, the left always comes out and says, we are liberal, we want to diversify. That's the furthest thing from the truth. Yeah. All they want is conformity and uniformity to their way of thinking.
Amen, which is not diversity. It's, again, going back to the 3-year-old mentality. I want to be accepted for the way that I am, and if I'm not, I'm going to throw a temper tantrum until I get my way.
Why can't people see through this facade? I mean, when they turn on the news at 6 o'clock every night or whatever newscast they watch, the left is absolutely not saying that we want a diverse program. We want this. Everybody's got an equal voice. No, they don't. They want conformity to their viewpoint or it will not be accepted, and they want uniformity to their viewpoint or it will not be accepted. They're liars, frauds, and charlatans.
Yeah, because they want their way, and how are they going to get their way? Oh, well, we're just going to slap a lawsuit on you.
Yeah, and right now, unfortunately, with this administration more so than ever before, they've got the power of the Attorney General's office. And then the thing that really bothers me is a Hitleristic viewpoint of mind altering. You will pay the fine, and then you will have to attend sensitivity courses which will bend your mind our way.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, that is not what our founding fathers had ever wanted. Yes, we are a country of diversity. But what we're seeing now is, this isn't diversity. We're just going to be pushing our political agenda, and we're going to get what we want. And, we don't really care what you guys want anymore. So that's not diversity. That is just kind of ramrodding their own personal agenda to get what they want.
Look at the hiring practices today to the point where you've got to be so careful against discrimination. And I don't care if it's a radio station. I don't care if it's a funeral home. I don't care if it's a car dealership. I don't care what it is. They have to be so careful about their hiring practices. But on the other hand, they are hiring people to represent their business, and they have every right, in my opinion, to be very discriminatory so that those people they hire put the company's best foot forward.
Amen, and that's the way it should be.
Yes.
Because once you are an employee, just like I'm an employee here, I have to put my best foot forward because I'm a representative of said company. So when I go out into the public, even if I'm at home or I go to the grocery store, because of the job that I have, I am always and will always be a representative of this company.
That's
so
right.
I always have to put my best foot forward. And I know that my employer, Kim, would say the exact same thing.
And I don't care if it's your personality. I don't care if it's your dress style that you wear and you think you're cool and hip-hop. You will conform to what I want as an employer, or you might find yourself walking down one side of the road to another location. I am going to absolutely fight till my last breath that we still have rights in this country, not to be absorbed by the liberal left, and by uniformity, I won't adhere to it.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's take this for an example. Okay, and this is just a far-fetched example. Say I had, and I have tattoos, but I always make sure that my tattoos are always covered up. People don't know that I have tattoos unless I am wearing, shorts or something slightly revealing.
Yeah.
I'm always professionally dressed when I go out and I'm representing my company. Now, say I had tattoos on my arms and things like that and up on my neck. I would still have to, when I'm out there representing the company, have to make sure that I am covered up. Now, my dad has tattoos on his arms, and he works for a company, and when he goes to work, he has to wear long-sleeve shirts. Mm-hmm. He conforms to that. Why? Well, number one, he wants a paycheck. Number two, he wants to do his employer, correctly. And
what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that.
And see, right there, I want to go back. I don't like tattoos.
Yes.
But that's my own personal opinion. But what you just said was the key to the actual co-joining of our personalities is that you conform to what the employer wants and you understand their likes and dislikes and you work hard for the company to make sure you represent their likes. And I have total respect for that.
You know, my job, number one, I want a paycheck. Number two, I really do enjoy my job.
Yep.
I love what I do. And so I am going to always put my best foot forward for the name of the company.
You think I'm going to hire some kid with earrings in his nose and his ears and his nose rolled up in a ball where they have those deals they shove through the middle and have something stuck through his bottom lip so he looks like a Ubangi warrior with his pants hanging down below the crack in his butt? There's no way in the world I'm going to hire somebody like that.
No, because that would not, because in the industry that we are in, well, I don't think that would be putting the best foot forward. Now, say he was working for a tattoo parlor, hey, go for it. But in our industry where we rely on our appearance, we rely on our reputation, we always have to put our best foot forward.
There you
so that
go.
means making sure that anything that might be construed as offensive to somebody else, we keep those covered up. And
There
I
you
have
go.
no problem with that at all.
I am just fed up with how the left wants everybody to put on the same coat on their side, but anybody that disagrees, oh, why, you're abnormal. You're a bigot. You're a hate monger. Anyway, we are going to, hopefully next hour we'll have better luck with our guest. Jeff Dickens is going to be on the phone. Guess who he's going to be talking about? Marie Harf. Yep, the blonde bombshell with the Obama administration. Don't go away. I'll be back in 6. Zeb at the Ranch. Where did this come from? I mean, first of all, let me back up just a little bit here, Jeff. Number one, here is a young woman that absolutely seems like she set some of the foreign policy with her absolute imbecilic statements about jobs for terrorism. But yet the president follows up like he also adheres to that in his foreign policy. I mean, where did she come from? Where did she get so much power? I've never seen an administration before that listens to spokespeople.
Well, I don't know. I think you're onto something. I don't think this is that she's necessarily setting the policy. I think she was just sort of pulling the veil back on what the liberal philosophy is with the whole administration. It's not just Marie Harf. It's all goes all the way up to Barack Obama and Valerie Jarrett, and this is what they believe. This is what liberals believe, and that if only there was just a better economic policies in this region, then this terrorism would go away. But like, as has been pointed out, the 9/11 hijackers, they all had jobs. They were from the middle class. That didn't stop them from committing this atrocity on our country. This is something that even Chris Matthews, actually, I'll give him credit for once. Even he's interrupted Marie Harf and said, we're not going to be able to stop that in our lifetime or 50 lifetimes, talking about the poverty over there. There's always going to be poor people. There's always going to be poor Muslims. And as long as there are poor Muslims, the trumpet's blowing and they'll join. We can't stop that, can we?
I'm sitting here, and I'm sure that you've studied this much more than I, but I mean, I haven't heard of any Muslim hospitals. I haven't heard of any Muslim parades. I haven't heard of any touchy-feely good days that Muslims are trying to promote and trying to be a part of the community. I guess maybe I'm just sitting here questioning why our president and why this administration are duped into not saying what the evil is. They're afraid to say it, and it's going to get worse day by day, because I have right here a headline. You probably saw it this morning, too. Extremists urge attacks on U.S. malls. Now, in the story that was put out by AP, here's a quote. The masked narrator concluded by calling on Muslims to attack shopping malls, specifically named the Mall of America. They're not calling on Presbyterians, Baptists, and Lutherans. They're calling on Muslims. Jeff?
Right. Well, I think again, this has to do with the media climate, that they're not really fully addressing that this is not just just random terrorists. These aren't the IRA terrorists. These are terrorists that are extreme, Islamic extremists, and they seem so ready to, blame, remember back Timothy McVeigh, he was a right-wing Christian terrorist. They try to portray that, but when it comes to and somehow take Timothy McVeigh and use him to sort of blame conservatives and Republicans for driving up a climate of hate. But when it comes to extremist Muslims, they seem a lot more reluctant to do that.
Now, have you ever had the opportunity, and I underline the words because maybe it's not such a great opportunity, to meet Marie Harf? Have you ever met her?
No.
Okay, I bet you can't wait. But anyhow, she also made a statement that basically said that we, the common folk, are not nuanced enough to understand her critics. Would you please help me, Jeff? I am such a knave. I am so subjected to higher education in her part. Please explain to me the nuances of why she's so smart.
That was amazing. She was just doubling down on the statement. She said on, I guess this was with Wolf Blitzer on CNN. She was asked about why is there this controversy, and she said, maybe my argument was quote unquote too nuanced for my critics, basically just condescending to her critics. Again, it's stunning to me. I guess her comment had gotten some coverage on the cable news outlets, but I think it goes to show you that on ABC, CBS, and NBC, they're unwilling to broadcast the embarrassments of this administration to their viewers. Because again, no coverage on their evening or morning news shows. And here, this too nuanced comment is an embarrassment as well, because it's like she's condescending to all the Americans that are like, shots aren't going to help the problem. You need to kill them.
When you look at Jen Psaki and you look at Marie Harf, I mean, they're not exactly going to go to the head of the class for really being open-minded about various subjects. They're extremely liberal in their philosophy. How really can they change or be perceptive by the public to really know what they're doing when they make comments that elevate them and their supposed education to be better than everybody else?
Well, again, this is my point, and here at the MRC and at Newsbusters, we're just all about exposing the bias and exposing. This is an example of a bias by omission. This is clearly what Marie Harf said, and in her follow-up statements, was an embarrassment to the Obama administration. Even some liberals like Chris Matthews thought it was bad. But again, ABC, CBS, and NBC have yet to air a story on this. Just imagine if you had a State Department spokeswoman in the Bush administration making a similarly, if I must say, knuckleheaded comment about the war on terror. It would be all over the network. We have yet to see this Marie Harf's quotes anywhere on ABC.
Well, okay. Now, Jeff, when you talk about the Bush administration, you're talking about a lady that I have a lot of respect for when she did the job as what Marie Harf has now, and that's Dana Perino. Dana Perino has class. That's something that these other women do not have.
Right, and I think it isn't. I don't know. Maybe it's instructive of again the mindset of the administration. It's a liberal mindset. There's no question about it. And so, like I said, I think you're wise in pointing out. Some people are saying this was a gaffe, this was a misstatement. No, this is what they believe. This is the philosophy of the Barack Obama administration.
Jeff, I gotta ask.
Jobs, not guns.
There you go. I've got to ask you another question this morning, and I know it's not on the list, but I would appreciate your insight on this. I listened carefully when Rudy Giuliani made his remarks about Barack Obama, and quite frankly, to lump it up into a patriotism or not, I agree with him. I think right now we have a lot to worry about as far as Obama and always thinking of the other guys, other countries first, and kind of a damning of America second. What are your thoughts about Rudy Giuliani? The left is trying to tear him apart.
Well, yeah. Again, what we see here with the media coverage is that he made the statement. I think it was on Thursday, and they're still talking about it on this morning's morning shows. I think they feel that he was out of bounds, but I think Giuliani clarified to say that he wasn't questioning the patriotism of the president. He was just pointing out the obvious, that when you have Barack Obama making statements like, he wants to, fundamentally transform the country, and way back when he was going on his apology tour, it's fair to say that he, as Giuliani pointed out, he is not speaking in the words of past presidents in the same kind of terms, in being proud of the country. His first instinct seems to want to apologize for the quote-unquote country's sins. And the media, of course, saying it's out of bounds. I don't know, question the president's patriotism. Well, I think Giuliani says he probably does love the country, but you have to wonder, does he really value the Constitution and a lot of the principles that founded this country? And that's, I think, all Giuliani is really doing. He probably could have stated it better, but the media reaction to this is completely out of proportion.
Yeah, but Jeff, here's one of those but they tied, they being the left, Governor Scott Walker, and dovetailed him and negativity into Giuliani's comments. How in the world does the left get away with this kind of guilt by association type thing?
Well, because this is what if you look at the media, they're full of leftists. I mean, they're full of liberals. They're full of Democrats. That we have a whole revolving door section on our website where we point out, all the journalists and producers and reporters that have, 1 year working for a news outlet, and the next year they're working in a Democratic administration, and so on. So when they get sort of the playbook from the administration that we want to use Giuliani's statements to embarrass other Republicans like Scott Walker, particularly potential presidential candidates. They just take the ball and run with it, and that's what we're seeing.
All right,
time and again.
We've got a caller with a question for you, real fast caller. I'm almost out of time in this segment. Go ahead.
Yes, I think that Rudy Giuliani said something that so many people across this nation are thinking, and that it really hit a nerve because it's more true than anybody would like to admit on that side. And the fact that somebody actually said it that had some actual, authority or pull was really something else. And I'll hang up. Thanks.
Respond to that if you would, please, Jeff.
Well, I wonder. I think if that the reaction, the left's reaction, not only on the Hill and in the White House, but also in the media, is I think they're worried that Giuliani kind of hit his mark.
Yeah.
And so they're scrambling to defend Obama.
Yeah. Jeff, I got to ask you one last question. Again, it's not on the cheat sheet list, but I want your opinion. Over the last couple of days, it's been made aware to all of us that Hillary, poor little broke Hillary, can't even buy diapers for her granddaughter. Oh, but she's been accepting money from foreign nations in donations for her campaign. That's illegal, Jeff. What's she doing?
Right. Now, this is the Clinton Foundation. They initially got in trouble because when Hillary Clinton was State Department spokesman, they were getting all these donations. They're like, oh no, we can't do this because she's in the administration. So they stopped doing it. Now that she's out of the administration, it's full on accepting money from anyone and from anywhere in the world. And it is something that's not getting a lot of coverage in the media, and that's something we're definitely looking at. But yeah, you're right.
I got to ask you one thing more about politics, Jeff, and then I'll let you go. When you look at the Republican horses that are lining up at the starting gate, all the way from Jeb Bush, Walker, Cruz, you name it, there must be 137 of them. And then you look over on the Democratic side, and everybody's talking about Hillary basically being a shoo-in, which I think is repulsive. What are your thoughts? I said earlier this morning, and you can agree or disagree with me, I would love to see a Republican Republican nomination of Scott Walker and a Democrat nomination of Joe Manchin. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know. I can't really get into the horse race predictions, but I will say this. I think for conservatives, they usually like it when there's a candidate that goes after the liberal media. So if there's a candidate in the Republican Party that really wants to make a name for themselves, actually just attacking the liberal media and calling them out for their lies, distortions, and omissions.
All right. Hey, man, I appreciate you taking the time to come on our program. Come back again in the future. Would you please, Jeff Dickens? Good piece. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You betcha. Good young man right there. I appreciate him coming on the show. Marie Harf. I mean, come on. How many of you, raise your hands, if you're driving, leave one hand on the steering wheel. But Marie Harf, she is such a social elite. And she said that, well, with my comments, I'm sure that some of my comments might be too nuanced for her critics. Oh, man. It just makes your skin crawl. Ay, ay, ay. I know that there are many other talk show hosts that have talked about her, Hannity and O'Reilly and the rest of them, but oh, man. The liberal left, they just absolutely think that they are so much better than we. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Hello, Tony.
What really gets me is that ISIS already has their plans made to bring the United States down. What plans does the Obama administration have to protect us?
Well, nothing that they haven't told you and all the rest of the world about who, what, where, why, and when, and how much. I mean, I've never heard anything so lunacy in my life.
Boy, it isn't. If something isn't done about this guy, I don't know what's going to happen to this country. I'm deeply concerned about a future, if we have one.
I talked to an older gentleman over the weekend that fought in World War II, and he just absolutely was shaking his head. He says he never heard of anything so absolutely disgusting and almost to the point of being traitorous as what Obama is doing, basically telling everybody what we're going to do.
Well, you know, talking to some veterans that I have, they are not willing to go back in and fight again with their hands tied behind their back.
Yeah.
And this is from people that have already been over there.
Absolutely. No, I don't know what to tell you. Every day that goes on, and every day that I study the news, and every day that I report on this administration, or lack of, is a day that I just have to shake my head and wonder, really, we only know a tip of the iceberg as to how dangerous things are. I'll bet you it's far worse than what we even believe, Tony.
It is. I can tell you that for a fact it is.
God bless you for your call, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
All righty. I got time for another phone call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Every Thursday, we have a segment on our program called School Days in Cassia County, and I thank the lovely Debbie Critchfield for lining up all the guests for that program. But we also have two wonderful sponsors, A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And by the way, don't forget, starting today and going through March 8th, they're going to have their birthday party, their great big sale celebrating 12 years in business. All of this at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Caller, I'll be right there. And also Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley. Number to call, 677-8888. And they have all the hand surgeries, arthroscopic surgery, cataract surgeries, colonoscopies, all of this and more. Save you money at Ambulatory Surgery Center, 677-8888. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I cut part of the comment of your guest speaker there, and he said that he probably thought that the president loved America, but did not really. He's kind of being rough with the Constitution, I guess, to put it that way.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what he meant, yes.
Yeah, that's kind of the gist I got from it. And it brought a thought to mind that when you swear an oath, a sacred oath, that you will uphold these principles in the Constitution, it brought a parallel to mind of where people say that they love their wife, but they're going to go ahead and maybe kind of cheat on the oath that they took.
Yeah.
To remain true to that person. To me, it's a strong parallel to remain true to a country that you love, and also to remain true to a person that you love through a sacred oath of whether it's marriage or to uphold the Constitution. And I don't know how you can legitimately or effectively do both.
I think that's a good, fair analogy that you've just brought up, and I will say this. I don't recall hardly any times at any speeches, regardless of the circumstances, at a convention, at whatever kind of a meeting, on the White House lawn, whatever, where this president has stood up and absolutely railed about the goodness and the values and the morality and the help and assistance that this country has provided over past 200 years. All he's done is put us on the pedestal of, oops, we've made this mistake, and oops, we've done this wrong. I have no respect for this president.
Well, yeah, it's like an abusive husband who treats the wife badly, and tells the wife and everybody else that may witness that, well, I'm doing it for her good.
Yeah. I got to run to the bottom of the hour.
It's a twisted, crippled, dishonest way of conducting yourself, especially when you've sworn an oath before God and before everybody that witnesses.
I agree with you. Hey, sir, I apologize. I got a break at the bottom of the hour. It's exactly 10:30. I got to run. Thank you. Call me again. I do appreciate it. I'll be back in 3 minutes with Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke. Don't go away.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much and welcome back. We'll have Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, in just a moment. Stand by. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. I went back, started last week to get myself back in order. You better work on my leg. You better believe it. They know all the sports medicine, all the exercises, and they can help you get back to being you. Nick Greenwell and the rest of the staff of physical therapists, they know, believe me, they know all about how to work with you and help you get, like I said, back to being you, feeling you, and getting back on your feet. Absolutely the best of people. Call for an appointment, 678-1191. 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, on Mondays for our legislative update during the 2015 legislative session, we go live and direct up into Boise for our friend Scott Bedke, Speaker of the House and Representative. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well, Zeb. How are you getting along?
I'm always afraid during a conversation on the phone with me, you're going to bring the gavel down and tell me I'm out of order.
Well, I'm in my office. There's no gavel within reach, so you got clear sailing.
Scott, tell me, if you don't mind, what is happening at this legislative session? What sticks out in your mind as maybe issues that are taking a little longer or harder to address? Give us an update as to some of the issues.
Well, I think that the legislators are spending a lot of time right now trying to translate the governor's recommendations, the governor's task force recommendations on education into a bill that will get enough votes to get off the House and the Senate floor. I guess the good news is that all players are committed to putting what will amount to being the biggest budget for education for public schools that we've had, arguably in the state's history.
Now, that may be it's somewhat misleading in that because we have more kids in Idaho schools than at any other time in Idaho history, and so that drives the formula to a point. But I think that there is a commitment across the board, both the House and the Senate, to meaningful way raise the beginning teacher salary so that we can compete with getting teachers to come to apply for these jobs, getting kids that are in high school to start thinking about possibly a career in education. And that's for a couple of reasons. Just demographically in Idaho, as well as the United States, we have a lot of the baby boomers who are the teachers, and there's a lot of teachers in our generation that are about to retire, and there's not, and that's and the number of teachers that are our age or in our generation that makes up a disproportionate share of the teacher corps, and when they all retire, there's going to be there's already starting to become pressure, not enough applicants for these jobs, and many of our school districts are having to hire teachers that are not, there are alternatively certificated, you might say, but this is going to be a problem over the next 3 years, over the next decade, of a lot of teachers retiring and not a lot of teachers coming into the profession. Mm-hmm. We need to address that, and I think that there's general commitment to do that. So what that ends up looking like at this point, I think, is a little too early to tell. But the governor's recommendations talks about career ladders and tiered licensure. I know that the tiered licensure aspect is concerning to our friends who are teachers, and that they don't want any pay attached to their license, and I understand where they're coming from. The other side of the coin, and where the governor is coming from, is that he would like, if we're going to put all of this new extra money into public schools, he wants some accountability for that, and you can't blame him for that. So we've got to just try to find the right balance on accountability and the money.
Let me ask you this, Scott. As Speaker of the House and Representative, and I'm sure you've had many, many phone calls regarding education, but I'm just going to make a statement, and I want you to agree or disagree. I personally am a little sick and tired of everybody that has come up to me and complained about the status of education in the state of Idaho. I even had a gentleman the other day talk to me and say, boy, I'm getting a little nervous. My kids are coming school age, and I'm scared as to whether or not we should move out of the state because we want them to have a good education. I'm going to say this. All that is negative does not bode in the education system in Idaho. In other words, it's not nearly as bad as some people would portray it. Would you agree or disagree?
That's exactly right. And so education and public schools becomes a whipping boy each and every campaign cycle. And you would think if you just arrived in Idaho that we have a lousy education system, and it's just exactly the opposite. They want to use per pupil spending as the standard by which they want to measure the education system, rather than the achievements of our kids. Our kids are we don't hold a second place candle to very few states. Idaho's national test scores are ACT, SAT, those types of test scores. We are squarely in the center of the pack, if not a little better than the national average. And so kids that go to Idaho schools today in 2015 can get a great education here. They can go on to college and be able to compete with their peers nationally. And I, like you, I'm getting tired of the commercials. I'm getting tired of this constant bashing that we do on public schools to a political end, and it's not productive. and it demoralizes the teachers. They feel like they're getting jerked around every chance that some politician gets. And so we need to, and that's my opinion has always been that there's not a partisan way to run the schools. There's not a Democrat way, there's not a Republican way. There's just a good way. There just needs to be an optimum way to make efficient use of your tax dollars to get our kids educated and to give them every opportunity to go out in the big world and excel with their counterparts from the other states. And I couldn't agree with you more. I am very tired of that, and I have a steady stream of people that come in and want to talk about this or that, and it all ends up sounding negative that our system is fundamentally flawed, which is not the case at all.
I agree with you totally. I want to switch gears a little bit, and I want to go to another subject. And I'll preface this by saying a lot of people like myself are scared as to what the federal government is going to do with a federal gasoline tax. There has been talk that they might bump it $1 a gallon. And you, as well as anybody, knows that these lower prices are subject to Obama's whims, and we could see some drastic increases while he's still in office. That being said, if we look at a federal gas tax and then we look at an increase on the gas tax on a statewide basis, boy, the people are really going to be suffering trying to get to their jobs, trying to take little Johnny and Susie on a trip this summer. Things could get tough. What's going on with the funding of transportation in the state of Idaho?
Well, that's a great question. And, you've seen some of the stories that have come out in the newspapers and other places. There is a legitimate need in the state of Idaho to put additional monies into the state road system and our local road system just to keep up with the maintenance of the assets that we already have, let alone expanding them. Okay, so in other words, if that road out in front of your house is not chip sealed about every 7 years, that's the schedule, depending on the part of the state that you live in, where depending on the weather, depending on the thaw and freeze and the amount of rain and snowfall you get. But on average, every oiled road needs to be chip sealed or resurfaced once every 6 or 7 years. And we need to be on a schedule to do that. We've got to protect, number one, we've got to protect the taxpayer dollars that have that have been invested in the road system in Idaho up to date. And arguably, we are not keeping up with that schedule statewide. And particularly in the roads that the counties and the highway districts are charged with maintaining, they are falling behind, and their only recourse is to raise your property taxes to address that. They do get some out of the, for every dollar that you pay of state fuel taxes or registration for that matter, about 38 cents of that is distributed out to the local highway districts and counties. Mm-hmm. And the balance of that, some is taken out for the state police, and the rest of that goes into the state system. So, and that has not been addressed. There's been no new money put in there since 1998. So the money, so the 25 cents that you're charged per gallon of gas right now does not go as far as it did back, 17 years ago. The buying power of the dollar just buys less asphalt, less chip seals, less everything than it did then. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, that's based on a per gallon. So the truck that you're driving and the car that people are driving now gets significantly better gas mileage than they did 20 years ago as well. So the money that we collect from the fuel tax is about flat. Even though there's more traffic and more cars on the road, they're using about the same number of gallons that they did, and the buying power of the tax is going down. So you're kind of caught in between a rock and a hard spot there. Now, the way it is right now, for every dollar of federal taxes, gas taxes that we send in, and because when you go to the pump, you pay, about 25 cents to the state and about 23 or 4 to the federal government. And then they send us back about $1. Actually, last year was $1.65 for every dollar we sent in. And but of course, if you're California or Texas or Ohio and you send $1 in and only get 85 cents back, then you're starting to think that's not a very good deal. So there's a lot of talk at the Washington level about redoing the National Highway Trust Fund. And of course, they borrowed every money. They financed government out of the highway trust, just like they financed government out of the pensions, the Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, etc. They don't silo those funds back there, and if it's $1, they spend it.
Mm-hmm.
So there are talk about raising taxes at the Washington level as well, but I don't know that it's as legitimate a need there. Well, they're dang near broke because they robbed Peter to pay Paul for so long, but. So you've got the two issues here. Independent. I mean, if Washington D.C. were running a perfectly tight ship, Idaho's we would still be needing some additional funds just to maintain the roads that we have. So, but I don't think you'll see anything too fancy coming out of the state. If we do something, it will be probably something on registration for not just light trucks and cars, but also the heavy trucks. I mean, that's arguably the wear and tear on our roads comes from the heavy loads, not necessarily your F-150. So,
Scott, let me ask.
You're driving a Dodge 1500, though, aren't you?
No, I'm driving a great big Ford Tunner.
Oh, all right. Well, but even that is not you're not putting the ruts in the oiled roads. It's not you. It's those other guys.
Well,
it's the semis. It's the big trucks. And you know what? The way Idaho's registration is framed or constituted right now, a lot of these long haul truckers, even though their registration is apportioned, they basically get a free ride. And most of these trucks on the freeways that are coming through the state are going someplace other than Idaho. So that's another place that we need to look, is that these interstate agreements that we have with these other states and where we apportion the registration. Idaho is on the very low end of that compared to other states. So there's some things that we can do. I don't think you'll see us going hog wild, but I do think it's a legitimate that we put about 100 and at least 100 million, if not a little more. That sounds like a big number, but spread out across everybody, it's not going to be that much of a hardship. But we've got to put some more money into just the maintenance of our current system. Because if we don't, then if you have to redo the roads, it costs 7 or 8 times more per mile than it does just to keep it maintained. So that's kind of where we're coming from.
Well, and I've got a question in regards to that, and I'm almost out of time, but I wanted to ask you, there has been the thought, and I've read it and studied it and thought about it, about the increase of maybe a cent increase on the sales tax. And when you look at the sales tax increase that everybody would help pay, I mean, there's a lot of loopholes for people on the highways, people from out of state, etc. Maybe that sales tax increase isn't a bad idea as long as that money was earmarked and could not be touched for anything but improvements on the highways.
Well, that's true. If it were truly dedicated to just the highways, that's a good way to raise a lot of money. But you've got a faction, but there are voices here, and there's a group, and it's a pretty large group that says, if you're going to do that, then you need to take the sales tax off of food. Mm-hmm. And and we'll only go. We would entertain that idea, but we don't want to have. They would take the sales tax off of food right now. And so they say, well, we would, if you're going to put a 7 cent on, and just dedicate that strictly to roads, then you've got to take it off of food,
right?
And that's a big chunk of money, and so every idea has got its detractors and supporters, and at this point we're just trying to find a way to get the 36 votes out in the House that would support something. But the dedicated penny on the sales tax is not a bad idea. I mean, that's broad, and everything you buy arguably was delivered by a truck, and they would, so there's nexus, I guess, with everything that we buy, and would have a sales tax on it. But there's a pretty large chunk, and I don't know if you can overcome it here politically, that say that if you do that, then you've got to take the grocery tax, the sales tax off of food, and then that significantly cuts into the amount of money that the 1 penny would raise, because you've got all these other commitments on the general fund. So you take the sales tax off food, that takes about $225 million out of the buckets that you pay schools and everything else out of. And so if you put another penny on and you backfill the bucket, then it's down to a lot less. Every penny would raise about $250 million.
Yeah.
But if you have to backfill, 100 or so to address the hole that you would create by not taxing food, then you're down to 150, and you just have whittled it away. So it's not the pure, not a pure penny dedicated to the road, which would, and I think most people would, if you walk them through it, they would say, well, that's a pretty good way. But you start carving it up, and what was a pretty good way becomes not so good.
All right, now here's the situation. I've got 2 minutes left. We have a call with a question. Caller, real fast. Scott, short answer. I've only got 2 minutes. Go, caller.
Yeah, you could save all kinds of money on the roads if you would build them the same way that Wyoming does, use the same materials and construction processes do, because their roads are twice as good as ours. They have the same weather, and there's just as many trucks on them.
All right, I'll have Scott respond. Scott, real quick, I've got a minute left.
Well, anytime you can, use the same process on every mile and not have a bunch of different processes, construction that's, approaches. We have a mixture of asphalt and cement, and Wyoming, it's all the same all the way across. I've recognized that as I've driven across country a couple of times. That's a good point.
Scott, I want to tell you how much I appreciate it. I'm sorry we just flat ran out of time. Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, thank you so much. God's blessings to you, and we'll look forward to having you back on in a couple of weeks. Thank you again.
All right. Well, thank you, Zeb.
All right. Take care.
Anyway, we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thank you. Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, at the Legislative Update in Boise. Thank you very much. Got to have the weather real quick. Weather's brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Absolutely, Scarrows Meats in business for over 20 years, serving all of southern Idaho with the best of beef, pork, lamb, and wild game processing. They guarantee everything they sell, and everything they sell is delicious. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers for Zeb of the Ranch. It's going to be cool. It's going to be sunny. Today is going to be clear tonight. Everything is going to be rather fine. Well, cool for sure. But just to give you a heads up, Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday, got snow in the forecast. 49 for the high today. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate it. Again, brought to you by Scarrows Meats, selling taste one bite at a time. Don Scarrow and the rest of the folks over at Scarrows Meats, absolutely delicious. Everything they sell is guaranteed. You're going to love it. Beef, pork, lamb, and the processing of wild game. Please get a hold of them today. Number to call, 324-7657, Scarrows Meats. Oh, we got a busy day tomorrow on Tuesday, and trying to see here, we've got Dr. History, of course, is going to be here in the studio tomorrow with his report, and we've got, I think we're going to have Scott Gano on the program tomorrow, and then in the first hour, open format, so everybody be sure and tune in with all your questions, etc. Don't forget, second day of the week, Zeb at the Ranch tomorrow on Tuesdays. Don't forget, too, the Founders Celebration for your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my, these people are good folks. They have been our major sponsor on this program for quite a few years now, and they are the best. So easy to work with and so professional as they celebrate the Founders Celebration in honor of Mr. Les Schwab. What a gentleman he was. Don't forget they've got some tires, all-season tread, economically priced, starting at just $39.99. That's right, I said $39.99. And they've also got a special going on, too, like $50 off custom wheels when you buy a set of 4. Well, you'd better stop in. The best in brake service, and I mean the best. The best in front-end alignment, shocks and struts, the best in batteries, but always the best in service. With Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family over in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, absolutely the best. Oh, thank you very much for all your calls this morning and everything. And a quick reminder again, Mini-Cassia Lincoln Day Luncheon will be held this coming Saturday, February 28th at Maury's Steakhouse in Burley. Meet and greet starts at 12 noon with all the politicals, and then at 1 p.m. lunch. Don't miss it, coming up this next weekend. Until tomorrow morning at 8:06, Zeb at the Ranch right here at 12:30 a.m. and then streaming live on the internet all over the world, ZebBell.com. We'll saddle the horse and ride for 3 hours tomorrow morning. Thanks, Gina. Thanks, Deanne. God bless everybody. We'll see you where we always say were the way things were or the way things ought to be.